Dr. Luby, why do you do what you do?
Well, I'm a physician, and if you look at the world, there are an awful lot more sick people in poor countries than in wealthy countries. So to me, wanting to make a difference, it made more sense to work in settings where the needs are greatest. And in addition, if you think about what one person can do as a clinical physician, that is taking care of one sick person at a time, and that's really honorable work to do, but there's a real limit to what reach you can have. On the other hand, if you work from a perspective of how do we make communities healthier, how do we make populations healthier, then you actually have an opportunity to have much more reach. So I feel like I'm in a very fortunate position of being able to work in real high-need communities on a broader scale.
Give me some perspective on just how large this challenge is.
Well, the challenge is immense. I mean, if you look at it, there's an estimated 5,000 children that die every day from diarrheal disease, approaching nearly 2 million children dying every year. And really, as bad as the deaths are, that's really only one of many problems that contaminated water brings. So it is an enormous problem and overwhelmingly affects children living in poor communities, in poor countries. So the kinds of solutions that we have to put in place really have to take into account the very difficult context that we're working in, the very low levels of resources that people have. I mean, if you look at it in Bangladesh, which is where I am working right now, 40% of the population lives on less than $1 per person per day. 80% of the population lives on less than $2 per person per day. So we can come up with beautiful solutions, but unless we can deliver those solutions in a severely resource-constrained setting, we're really not going to have the impact that we would like. So one of the reasons that problems are so challenging is because if there were simple solutions, if there were silver bullets or magic things that could be done, our predecessors would have solved this problem a long time ago.
But hygiene is a solution that seems on the surface to be simple. Why is it not?
Hygiene is absolutely, improving hygiene has a lot of appeal and does appear simple and low cost, but it still does cost. For example, in Bangladesh, if you go and you ask people, can you show me some soap to wash your hands? In rural areas, 35% of households are not going to be able to show you soap at that point. Well, maybe I'll buy some later. So soap costs money, and if you're dealing with a community that's living on less than $1 per person per day, they've got to make some very hard decisions about how am I going to spend my money on rice, on lentils, on soap. So we think about it being low cost, and it is low cost compared to some other alternatives, but it still does cost money. And not only are finances a barrier, but there are whole lots of behaviors around improving hygiene, around improving your environment so your family and your children do not come into as much contact with contaminated feces, with a contaminated environment. Getting those behaviors changed is not so simple because people's understanding of their role in the environment, their cultural models of purity and cleanliness, their cultural models of how does one improve health are often very different from a Western conceptualization of scientific understanding and how hygiene can improve health. So there is a tremendous amount of work that has to go into coming up with a solution that actually makes economic sense in these settings and makes cultural sense as well.